Hello and welcome back. It has been so long since my last making vlog, and I apologize. We can get into why that was and all the things. But today is going to be a little bit different than the previous making vlogs because in those, I would typically show you all my work in progress projects, show you all my FOs, my finished objects, maybe talk about a new tool or something that's really helped me in my knitting or crochet projects, and then finally ask me anything questions at the very end. So I would get like one or two maybe that would come in every 2 weeks. But I haven't done this in a really long time. I think the last one was early April. So I am going to do a full episode that's just ask me anything. And then I'm going to do a full episode that is all yarn and project related. So I'm super excited to dive in. I've got some really good questions here. And maybe this is a format that we'll take because I hate if people have questions they want to ask me, they have to wait through that whole other making vlog and see all my projects they may not actually be that interested in until they get to their answers. So I'm thinking this might be fun to divide the episodes up into Ask Me Anything and into more making project yarn related. So I'm gonna hop to it in a second. Now, if you're wondering where the heck I've been, the make-along happened in May. I think we kicked off May 1, and that was intense. It always is, and it's always funny how I seem to forget how intense it is. I ended up creating over 100 videos for this make-along, and the projects for this round of designs for this make-along were actually simpler in some ways and shorter projects. I think I've just never counted total how many I do each time around. So I'm sure I've done around that or more in some cases where the styles were even more complicated. But it's a lot. It is exhausting and it takes a lot of time. And I'm not great at multitasking. So when I'm on one task, let's say designing video tutorials for the dumpling bag, I'm not great at also doing other things like videos or answering emails, and it's not necessarily a good thing, but I'm really bad at switching gears. So that's part of why I took a little bit of time off. In June, I went to Colorado for 3 weeks and it was absolutely heavenly. I was there for my mastermind, which is just a group of online business owners that gets together to share ideas and help each other 3 times a year. It's like my second family. It's an amazing group of people, and we met in Durango, Colorado this year. So I went from there, picked my family up at the Montrose airport, spent about a week and a half in Telluride, Colorado, which is amazing. I did the yoga festival there, which I would highly recommend. I went to the Bluegrass Festival. I mean, it was just really fun. Lots of good stuff to come out of the yoga festival, which I think I'll get into in some of the questions that have been asked. And then we went to Crested Butte for a few days, which we also love, and finally ended in Lake City at a friend's house. And the best part was truly just being with my family and not having a ton of things on the to-do list. So June is a really crazy time, I think, especially for parents of young kids with the end of the school year and different activities and wrapping things up at school. And all my kids' birthdays are at the end of the school year, as well as my own. Father's Day, Mother's Day. It just feels like a lot. So it was a really nice contrast to just be with the kids, be present, not have a lot else going on. And I love it there. I want to put it out into the universe that I would like to run knitting and crochet retreats there, maybe spinning retreats, and have some sort of shop or pop-up shop there. So if you are in the area, hit me up. I want to know if you have any ideas for me. I got to meet one knitter, one community member from Knit Collage that lives out there, and it was so fun. We had coffee and it was just a great time. So I would like to build that community of makers in Southwest Colorado if that's where you are and you have ideas on how to set these things up that I'd like to set up. I would love to send that out into the universe. Okay, so let's dive into these questions. The first one, which came in June, how do you maintain your gauge throughout a project? I find that I'm okay when I knit, but my gauge seems to change when crocheting. Thank you. So this is a really good question, and I think it can happen to knitters as well, right? So in my own experience, what I've noticed makes me change gauge is the state I am in when I am knitting or crocheting. And this may not be the case for you, dear writer-inner, dear listener, but what I will notice is that if I am stressed, if I am tense, that is gonna come out on my needles and on my hook. In crochet specifically, if you are newer to a project, or newer to crocheting, I think it can be tighter. Your crochet can be tighter in the beginning of the project, and then as you get the hang of it, it loosens up a bit. That's been my experience. So if you get gauge at that gauge that you started the project off with, maybe a slightly tighter gauge as you're just getting the hang of crochet, you're going to have to actively make your gauge tighter, either by pulling your yarn tighter as you do each loop, or you can simply go down a crochet hook size to make sure you're matching your gauge. I think the most important thing is no matter why it's happening, that's what happens to me. I might be stressed, I might have a glass of wine and then I get really loose, or it might be something like I'm newer at crochet and my gauge seems to loosen up as I get the hang of the project and the feel of the yarn. Whatever it is, I think the most important thing for you to do is check your gauge. If you notice it happening in your project, pull out that measuring tape and check it and see if your gauge matches at different points in the project. So you could measure, am I getting the same gauge here as I'm getting here, as I'm getting here? And you, of course, want it to be consistent. If the gauge changed a lot in that bag, it might look really tight and small down at the bottom and then just grow out that way. Something weird if my gauge got a lot bigger. So the way to correct it is to go down or up a needle or hook size and just stay on top of it. And it stinks because, right, we want to just be able to coast through a project and just relax. And I checked my gauge, I don't have to worry about it anymore. That is often not the case, right? Sometimes the gauge can change in our project and we have to just notice it, use our eyes, check it, and adjust our needle or hook size accordingly. One other thing that's happened to me before is I will set a project aside, I'll set a whip aside, and I'll go back to it. And when I go back to it, I actually change the needle that I'm using. It may be the same needle size, but I've changed from metal to wood, let's say, or wood, bamboo to metal, and I will get a different gauge on different material. Not hugely different, but slightly different. I know for my yarn, I really like the gauge I get on a metal US 15 for my yarns. It looks slightly different when I do bamboo. So you might notice that. So if you are like me and you leave projects on scrap yarn or barber cords often to come back to later and free up a needle, make sure you come back with the same material because that can cause wonkiness to occur. I hope that answered your question. If you have a follow-up question, please let me know. Okay, here is the next one. I am excited about the neon yarns. Now, I think this question might be in relationship to the winter solstice kits. What can we make with these yarns? So if it is in relationship to the winter solstice kits, we are going to put together a Pinterest board with all sorts of pattern ideas for the winter solstice kits. If you ordered one, we got you covered, but also we are putting together a really beautiful cowl pattern that I'm not going to tell you more about because it's a surprise, but that's going to work perfectly with each winter solstice kit as well. If you need just more general inspiration on what to make with neon or bright colored yarns, I would suggest checking out my website. We've got lots of examples of things in neon yarns there. I also recently have gotten really big on Pinterest, trying to get back into it. I used to love it right when it first started, and I am blown away at how many amazing things I am finding for inspiration. So I have one board that's knit inspiration, one for crochet, one for color inspiration. So you could head over to my Pinterest account, and I'd love for you to follow me there and check out our boards there. But you can absolutely just go on Pinterest and type in neon knitting projects, and I bet you would get a lot of cool ideas. Okay, the next one. Since the knit kaleidoscope sweater was so very popular, are there plans to make a crochet version? With the popularity of the granny square, a granny stripe version might be fun, although there are definitely a variety of ways one can go there. I love that idea. So we do not, but that doesn't mean that we won't for the future. I think part of me felt like, okay, we have done the kaleidoscope sweater for years. I think it first came out in 2019, so it's just been going, and it's not that I don't want to crochet one, it's more I'm excited about new ideas and new designs. But you're right, that is such a great pattern. It's a classic. It should be in crochet, and I'm gonna write myself a little note here. And I will add some notes to the show notes below with our Pinterest account and the kaleidoscope if folks are interested in that one too. And I have one more question here. I wanted to submit a design for consideration. At what point in the process would you like to see the proposed design, written description and sketch, swatches, finished project? So that's a great question to ask, and we would love to see you submit a design for our upcoming seasons. We just wrapped up a design submission call for spring 2024. I think those were they're due today actually, which is Tuesday, July 18th. We will have another one coming up in 6 months for fall 2024. So keep an eye out for that. The best way to be notified about that is just on our website or on our email newsletter. I'll make sure to link to that too. And I also always post about it on Instagram, so you can find that there too. And we have a whole process and things that we ask for. We do ask for a swatch, doesn't have to be in our yarns, a sketch, and a description of the project. And I also do a Pinterest board with all the inspiration, so I give you an idea of what I'm looking for as well. So that's that. Okay, next question. Have you ever thought of doing a knit collage knitting retreat? Oh my gosh, I love that this came up because this is just what I talked about. Yes, I would like to do one very much. I often get asked about going to India. I think I would like to start with the States first and then India. I think there's two parts to that. Traveling in India, international, it's a whole different layer of logistical challenges. But the other piece of it is when I go right now, I typically am gone 10 days or 2 weeks without my family, and I'm just not ready to do more than that in terms of time away from them. So that's a big consideration for me in terms of going to India. But I do get asked the India question a lot, and yes, I would like to put that out into the world. We need a knit collage India retreat. For right now, I would like to do a retreat in Southwest Colorado for knitters, somewhere in the mountains where we could knit. And I think I would like to do it in early summer or even fall, maybe September. It's supposed to be absolutely beautiful there. And the idea would be we would learn, We could just knit together in front of a beautiful mountain and then maybe do some outdoorsy things. And the outdoorsy things can be riding in a Jeep up to see a waterfall, or they can be going on a short hike, things like that. But yes, I would love to do that. And I don't think I've ever really had the place that I want to do it. And now I think I know the place. I am hoping to seriously spend more time in Southwest Colorado in the coming years of my life. So I would like to do that. Let me know if you have ideas on how to make that happen. Okay, next question. We're kind of getting through them all. Okay. How does the design process work for knit collage patterns when they are designed in-house versus with another independent designer? So it is different in some ways, but not a ton different. So with designers that we work with outside of the knit collage team, we pay them an outright fee for the pattern, and typically they come up with the design on their own and they create it, and that's that. There's not a lot of feedback from me. Although that's not hard and fast true, sometimes I am involved in the process. With in-house designers, sometimes it's my sketch that they are working off of. Not always, sometimes it's completely their idea, but there's a lot more communication back and forth from sketch to multiple swatches, to body silhouette, to what size to make for the photo shoot. So there's just a lot more communication back and forth, and those folks are either compensated hourly or it's part of their full-time job at Knit Collage. So I hope that makes sense. That's kind of high level how it's a little different. I am much more involved in the process with in-house designers. Like I said, not hard and fast true. I can think of a few I've worked with where I have been more involved, but for the most part, less involved. All right, here is a really good question. How do you juggle your responsibilities as mom, wife, business owner, while also making time for your own personal creative practice, exercise, self-growth, etc.? You can totally be honest if the answer is outsourcing tasks. Any tips on releasing yourself from guilt when one area isn't getting as much attention as others? Okay, I'm gonna pull up this Word doc I have and we'll go through that in a sec. I love this question. This is like why I do what I do. I love it. And thank you so much for asking that question. So I struggle with it a lot. So I don't have by any means any of the answers figured out at all. I have childcare help from 8 to 4 every day. So I do have help, and those are my work hours. However, my husband works much longer work hours. It was really nice during COVID when he didn't commute and he was around more for dinner and those things. But I think this week he has things at post-work, like 2 nights. He's home really late. So that said, he is super helpful. He actually is the one in our family who handles all child care coordinating, payments, and he actually handles not all, but most of the kids' activities and signups for all of their activities. So I realize I'm lucky that he does that. It's awesome. He is much more of a detail person than me, so it works really well that he handles all the kids' things. I'm with the kids a bit more. He has more quiet time that he can do that kind of stuff during the day. I also turn into a pumpkin at like 8 p.m. and my brain doesn't work, and he's able to do those things at nighttime. So I think we have a good balance there between us. How do I manage it with the business? I think that it's a serious process. I think that I have and it's evolving and it's not there yet, but I do have certain non-negotiables in my life that I don't budge for, no matter how crazy stressed I get. And the biggest one for me probably is taking care. I love to run and I love to do yoga. And the reasons I love to do them are because they help my mental health. And for me, they are a form of self-care. So I don't really ever miss a day of working out. I did today because I had a dentist appointment for 3 hours, but couldn't do anything. But that's a non-negotiable. And the way my husband set that up is we do this is each week we look at what we have and we say who can run at 6 a.m. or who can do yoga at 6 a.m. and who cannot, and we plan our week that way, and it helps. I try to have a few other non-negotiables in my day that help me feel calm, like I'm taking care of myself and balanced, and it's a list. So that's why I pulled up this Word doc. So I'm gonna just share some things with you from it. Let's see if I have it. So it's just a list of daily practices, and this does not happen every day. So I wanna be clear about that, but this is the goal. So it says, before work, I meditate. This can be 5 minutes, this can be 10 minutes, this could be 40 minutes. It really depends on when I go to sleep. It's kind of nice with summer because the kids don't have to be out the door really early. So I have a more relaxed morning, but I do Joe Dispenza visualization meditations most days, or Insight Timer, just breath. Then I will work out. Typically I do yoga, I do strength work too, and I run. When I get into the office, I look at my goals and I look at my vision board for the day. And this literally takes less than 5 minutes. Super fast. I have some images that are related to where I want my life to go. And I really believe in the power of visualization. So I spend time reviewing those. The next thing is pretty silly, but it's just my vitamins. I like to put my essential oils on in my corner over here. That one happens probably the least of all. And then at night, I do journaling. I do a gratitude list, and that also doesn't always happen, but I try to journal, and sometimes it is just a to-do list for the following day, but it's something, and some of it is just fragments of memories of what happened during the day with the kids so I can remember too. It's rarely very insightful. I have dreams of being an insightful journaler, but right now it's more I'm recounting what happens and my to-do list. So that is it. Like, it's just those little things. I shared this on my email newsletter maybe a couple months ago, this idea of I'm the type of person who ... And I heard about it on a podcast. So I also have a list of things, which I can read to you. They're pretty personal, but they're things that matter to me. And I'm not that person yet, but they're the person I aspire to be and I want to see myself as. So I will share those with you now. I'm the type of person who is radically grateful, treats my body like a temple, fills my time primarily with creativity and learning. People leave interactions with me and feel better. Checks on my people and brightens their day so they feel my love. Is a leader who's wildly successful, but it never feels like work because it's all so much fun. Expresses herself freely and isn't afraid to be vulnerable and loud. Spends time in places that fill her with a sense of adventure, awe, and freedom. And I'm saying her, I guess that means I'm the type of person who, I could write I guess, gives back consistently to causes I care about, is present, fun, and a good role model for my boys, financially disciplined and smart, has a lot of help so that she doesn't get sucked into the weeds of her business. This last one might make you laugh, is a singer and a musician. That's something I hope to aspire to in years to come. I want to take singing lessons. Something repressed in me that I'd like to bring out. So I look at that every day. And when I look at it, I feel it. I feel it in my body, and I think, oh, check on the people I love and brighten their day so they know that how important they are to me. I do that when I read these. So that's all I do in the morning, and it helps. It does help. The financial piece is that financially disciplined. That's been a process and is really important to me too. So that's that. Now I want to bring in the Telluride Yoga Festival here because I was there, and there was this amazing teacher, and she said, if you're meditating and all that comes into your mind is your to-do list, just remember your to-do list is holy. And that rocked me to my core because it really made me think about how a lot of my days I don't know what's going to happen. I am going to have a fire to put out. I might have a team member who's hurting. I might have a problem in India or the warehouse, or a pattern that's not working. Who knows? Whatever that might be, that gets in the way a lot of all this happening. And sometimes all the non-negotiables too, right? Sometimes I can't work out, whatever. And sometimes when I meditate or I journal, it's literally my to-do list. Actually, that happens to me all the time. And when this teacher said that to me, it immediately flipped it on its head. And to me, it was just this invitation. Oh my gosh, it's all holy. It is all sacred and special and wonderful and messy. And there's this line of this song, which I heard when I was in Oklahoma last month or 2 months ago, and it was like, it's a country song, but I just loved this line. And don't love the song but too much, but the line was so good, and it was just, it ain't always pretty, but it's real. And that's often how my life feels, right? It's not pretty. My house is a mess. You didn't see that as something I care that much about, but it's real, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I think that's the piece that it helped me so much. I don't have to force my mind to not always do my to-do list. I don't have to force my days to always on Monday I do this, Tuesday I do that, Wednesday because the truth is the business, all of it is going to have organic things that come up that cannot be scheduled, as much as I want it all to fit into boxes. And that's okay. It's beautiful. I'm grateful for it because I get to do the work I love out in the world and be a mom, which I love so much too. So I don't know if that helps. I just offer you, see what I do. If it helps, if any of that resonates, take it. And also keep in mind that it rarely looks perfect. And this simple shift of the to-do list is holy has really helped me. So I hope it helps you too. Okay, and I think tips for releasing guilt from when one area isn't getting as much attention as the other. I'm pretty good at radically forgiving myself. So I don't feel a lot of that. And I would just invite you to radically forgive yourself if you are at playing. Like, every day is a new day. Begin again. And it's okay, right? It's all okay. Forgive yourself. Yeah. Okay. Next question. These ones are a bit lighter. Will you be offering Knit University options for the Botanical Cardi? We do have that. It's on the site, so I'll link to that below. Beautiful design. I would like to see a simple vest pattern for beginners. Noted. Please watch my next making vlog because I'll show you a sample I'm working on in that. But yeah, love that idea. I have a real priority to do more beginner classes, so stay tuned. Okay, next question. Hey Amy, the spring make along has been so fantastic. With it almost done, can you give us some small hints on the upcoming fall make along? New yarns or designs? Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for the compliment. So watch the next making vlog. I am going to share at least what I'm working on as a designer, and you'll see some of the new yarns. I don't have all the other designers that are working on things, but I will share what I'm working on, so you get a little peek. When will the gorgeous Briar Rose sweater pattern be available? And will there be bonus videos for how to make it? Thank you. The Briar Rose sweater is in testing right now, and it's almost done. It will be done end of the month. So our plan is hopefully to release it end August or maybe fall. So I'm so sorry I don't have an exact date for you. If you are in this make along, it is a bonus design for this make along. So as soon as it's ready, we'll email it to you. And we will have kits. We don't have a plan to have videos right now, but maybe if it's part of the make along for fall, maybe it would. But no plans right now. But yeah, it is absolutely beautiful, and Vanessa did an amazing job on that sweater. It's just unbelievably stunning. Okay, that's that. Sorry if that was incredibly long and rambling. I so hope that invited more questions. I love the questions around personal self-care. I'm looking at the question right now and I'm like, I didn't even answer the part about how do I weave in my personal creative practice. Okay, so I'm gonna answer that one right now. Okay, how do you make time for your own personal creative practice? That's such a good question. I do that during my workday. I do. And I often execute later. I may work on a project when I am, nighttime, post bedtime, or the weekends, but the heavy lifting of the creative work of sketching or putting colors together or swatching, I need to be fully present. I will make time during my workday and I will block. And it is very little time, I will tell you that. Very, very little time. And I wish it was more. Okay, I think that's everything. And well, wait, there's the one piece. How do you make time for self-growth? So to me, that's like learning new things. I think you just have to put it on the calendar. So there's a class I want to take with the same teacher I talked about named Kobe at Kripalu Yoga Center in September. I'm already trying to figure out the childcare, if my parents can come, see if my husband can come, and I'm just putting it on the calendar. I just do that. And I always get so much out of it when I do things like that. Just put on the calendar, figure it out, and go. And things like that, they're 2-day long events. You don't feel terribly guilty for leaving the kids. I would say just do it. If something is really making you feel alive and excited, just start putting things on the calendar and making them happen. Okay, I think that's it. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'll post the link to the Ask Me Anything form below. And thank you so much for all of these wonderful questions. Quick last thing, a ton of questions on the winter solstice kits came in, so those are no longer available for pre-order. If you do have a question about those that I can answer, that by chance didn't get answered before, you can let me know in the comments here or in the form again. Okay, bye!